بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Qur'an, the Juz of the Qur'an, and we have reached Surah Al-Ahqaf, and Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah chose 4 verses only of the surah, excluding the Ahqaf itself, the verse of the Ahqaf, after which the surah was named, and I think Imam Suyuti said that the verse that meaning the theme, the verse that from which the name of the surah comes is the most important and thematically. And he chose the verses 1 to 3 with a typical beginning of the Hamim surahs, and also the verse 33. The first 3 verses, Hamim, and this is these letters are the building blocks of the Qur'an in Arabic. After which the book, meaning referring to the Qur'an, is mentioned. This is almost in all the surahs that have these separate letters that do not form a clear-cut meaning. It's not a sentence, not even a word per se. Hamim Tanzilul Kitab min Allah al-Aziz al-Hakim. The revelation of this book, the Qur'an, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Allah the Almighty, all wise. We only created the heavens and the earth and everything in between for a purpose. Rightfully. They were created rightfully. And not only that, but also they were created for an appointed term. وأجل مسمى ما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إلا بالحق وأجل مسمى. There's an ajal for this universe. There's an ajal for our blue planet. And there's an appointed term. Remember, this theme is repeated in different forms analytically. So when the Quran says, for example, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا, if the sun reaches its end, if you will, لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا, if it ceases to exist, this universe that we know, and there'll be another one replacing it. تبدل. It will the mountains ينسفها ربي نسفا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will blow them up. The mountains will become كالعهن المنفوش. That the fluffy wool, I understood this really. It could be a personal conjecture, but I understood this to indicate no gravitational forces anymore. That that lump matter together the way we know it. So already we have these 3 verses. The creation theme, ما خلقنا, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Khaliq. The verse number 3 ends, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا عَمَّا أُنذِرُوا مُعْرِضُونَ. Yet the disbelievers are turning away from what they have been warned about, either intentionally or simply being absorbed by whatever way of life, but we cannot say, cannot generalize the disbelievers today. The conditions have differed, but it's the same story. They turned their back, they turned away. We continue now before we reach the verse 33. Let's see what other themes do we have. Again, there is a challenge to the disbelievers to show what they have taken gods, in the sense of course, they are not true gods, but the meaning here is either it's a totem, or a statue, or an association. All of them part of the creatures, part of the universe. Ask them, قل, meaning it's addressing the Prophet ﷺ, but the same, we can ask the same question today. Have you considered whatever, like address the believers, have you considered whatever idols, whatever you invoke, meaning the idols, besides Allah, show me what they have created on earth? Or do they have a share in the creation of the heavens? Do they have a share in the heavens, in the creation of the heavens? Bring me a scripture, meaning revealed, before this Qur'an, or a shred of knowledge, if what you say is true. There is a scientists, they have been trying day and night for almost a century. For decades they have been trying to create life. To create matter? No. I mean, ex nihilo. And we say this, we don't understand. And this is the, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how this takes place. So these scientists cannot create anything ex nihilo. The problem also for them is that they cannot create life. They have tried. And they are still trying very, very hard. They could not come up even with one single living organism. They could not. And it is a known fact that in Western societies, a very large number of biologists and physicists and scientists are atheists, and some of them they became well known as advocates of anti-religion, anti-belief, someone just in an interview said that when he was born in the 1960s, there was only 1% without religion, like you might say atheists, without religion in the United States. And that today the percentage stands at around 33%. So within 60 years, 1/3 of the population became atheists, and the United States is considered a bit more religious than old Europe. For some time, Britain had the largest number of atheists. Pretty much not many people go to their place of worship. And they cannot, of course, create anything. These idols, they cannot benefit, they cannot harm. It's only those who created them and believe in them and worship them who get themselves into devastating trouble. And who could be more astray than those who call upon others besides Allah, others that cannot respond to them until the day of judgment, and are even unaware of their calls. ومن أضل ممن يدعو من دون الله من لا يستجيب له إلى يوم القيامة وهم عن دعائهم غافلون. What a pity. And when such people will be gathered together, those gods will be their enemies and will disown their worship. Those who take persons as gods. Some of those quote-unquote gods, like the Pharaoh, an unbeliever. But in a post-revelational construct, in the history of Christianity, Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was turned into one of the three persons that form the Trinity, and therefore the people worship him. In this case, this particular verse is applicable. They will not. He does not condone what people did in his name. Whenever our clear revelations are recited to them, the disbelievers say of the truth when it has come to them, this is pure magic. They have leveled this accusation against Musa alayhi salam. They did this to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا بينات قال الذين كفروا الحق لما جاءهم هذا سحر مبين. Or do they say he has fabricated this Qur'an? Say, O Prophet, say. And of course, addressing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I have done so, then there is nothing whatsoever you can do to save me from Allah. He knows best what you indulge about, what slurs. Sufficient is He as a witness between you and me, and He is the all-forgiving, most merciful. Let me share with you just a fact, and then we'll think hopefully together. You would continue, inshallah, pondering about what I'm going to say, and this is a message to Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Prophet Moses is mentioned most in the Quran. And there is by a very high margin. No prophet gets even close to him. He's mentioned by name 136 times. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was mentioned in the Quran 5 times. 4 as Muhammad and once as Ahmad ﷺ. Who would basically write a book, fabricate a book, in which he mentions himself only 5 times and mentions another person, Prophet Musa alayhi salam in this case, 136 times by name, and ample other verses, because the context, ample other verses. For example, وما تلك بيمينك يا موسى قال هي عصاي أتوكأ عليها وما تلك بيمينك يا موسى. That verse uses the word Moses, Prophet Musa alayhi salam. The next verses, they're still about him. He is speaking. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam قال هي عصاي أتوكأ عليها وأهش بها على غنم ولي فيها مآرب أخرى. It is Musa alayhi salam. So, direct verses mentioning his name 136 times. No person writes a book and mentions someone else like this, and he is hardly mentioned like this. Many other prophets are mentioned more than him. It is not a self-centered book. It cannot be written by the Prophet ﷺ. There are other reasons why. He was an illiterate. As our scholars said, for every person, illiteracy is uh, is a negative attribute, if you will, adjective, a state. Except for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, it is praising him. And of course, it protects, subhanAllah, it's one of the arguments that one can use against the claim of the Prophet ﷺ coming up with this Qur'an. He could not. And there were no translations of the biblical narrative into Arabic. Subhanallah. Say again, قل, I'm not the first messenger ever sent, nor do I know what will happen to me or you. I only follow what is revealed to me, and I am only sent with a clear warning. قل ما كنت بدعا من الرسل ما أدري ما يفعل بي ولا بكم إن أتبع إلا ما يوحى إلي وما أنا إلا نذير مبين. Ask them, قل, consider if this Qur'an is truly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you deny it, and a witness from the children of Israel attests to it, and then believes. Whereas you act arrogantly, surely Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. Amongst the people from the who were Jews, literally, and they became Muslims. One of their rabbis, a Jewish scholar, Abdullah bin Salam, he embraced Islam when the Prophet ﷺ immigrated from Mecca to Medina. I myself, there are many. I met an ultra-Orthodox Jew who became Muslim, and I met, of course, numerous people, Jews and Christians, who became Muslim, and I met a Catholic priest who became Muslim when we prayed at the time Asr together in the state of Vermont in northeast United States. Vermont has borders with Canada, and his name after Islam became Mustafa. And I met a Protestant a reverend who became Muslim, subhanallah. So you can find still, so it's not any witness from amongst those who become Muslim. There are many scholars. The disbelievers say of the believers, had it been something good, they would not have beaten us to it. Now, since they reject its guidance, they will say, this is an ancient fabrication. All kind of, arguments or a campaign of misinformation, let's say. And now it mentions Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. And before this, Qur'an, the book of Moses, was revealed as a guide and mercy, and this book is a confirmation. The Qur'an confirms the previous revelations. If there is any difference, and also not only confirms but also muhaymin, in the sense of if we differ about the narrative, then it's going to be the Quranic narrative that is that has the upper hand. One might say that an example in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the universe all in 6 days. In this surah, Surah Al-Ahqaf, there is a verse that refers to creation, and there is something that one can say it is different from the narrative of the people of the book and when we say in the Torah, we mean as is. We know very well that there are certain things that have been changed. The text, the books that they suffered from the vagaries of transmission. So let's see what we have here. Do they not realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created the heavens and the earth and did not tire in creating them, is able to give life to the dead? Yes, of course, indeed, yes. He is certainly most capable of everything. Let's concentrate on the word tire. وَلَمْ يَعْيَ بِخَلْقِهِنْ. In the Qur'an also, there is a denial of tiredness, if you will. Okay. وَمَا مَسَّنَا بِاللُّغُوبِ. This is in Surah Qaf. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ فِي 6 أَيَّامٍ وَمَا مَسَّنَا بِاللُّغُوبِ. And no tiredness, no touched us, influenced us, affected us. Now, in the Old Testament, in the Torah, in the Chumash, and whatever you'd like to call it, in Genesis 2:2, and on the seventh day, this is a very famous, and on the seventh day God finished His work, which He had made, and He rested, and I would highlight the word rested, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work, which He had made. He rested. In fact, in the Hebrew Bible, it is Yishbot, and hence Shabbat, Shabbos. He rested on the seventh day. Even if they have to resort to metaphorical, allegorical interpretation of rested on the seventh day, the etymology of the word Yishbot in the Hebrew, original Hebrew, it's about stopping working. It's about taking a break, if you will, from work. So no work, but it is resting. Now, since the Quran is muhaymin, I take it, inshallah, that this is the case, that the Quran does respond to certain, whether it's in the Old Testament or even the New Testament. Quran does respond, Wallahu alam, to certain things that have been claimed. So no tiredness, no fatigue, no. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created this universe, and it is B. We will. The problem with us is that we try to play the role, or trying to understand sometimes something that belongs to Allah. In fact, the Quran does invite us to ponder upon the universe. Scholars can ponder upon the universe differently. Astrophysicists can ponder upon the universe differently. We could simply ponder and reach the conclusion, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh, our Lord, you did not create all this in vain. Not in vain. And not, playfully, just simply. It's not like an exercise in futility. Everything has a purpose. We have a purpose. Our creation has a purpose. وَمَا خَلَقُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So that's the verse number 33, which is the fourth verse that Imam Al-Ghazali selected. The Ahqaf itself, the interpretation of the Ahqaf, and that's really verse 21. I thought that at least we can talk just a little bit. This is the area where the people of Sayyidina Hud alayhi salam, the people of Ad, where they have lived. And Wallahu alam, Sayyidina Prophet Hud alayhi salam is buried in Hadramaut. And remember, the brother of Ad, when he warned his people who inhabited the sand hills, that's a translation, that's an interpretation. Okay? Sandy hills, we'll talk about it in a minute, inshallah. So let's finish reading this verse. There were certainly warners before and after him, saying, worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I truly fear for you the torment of a tremendous day. If you Google Al-Ahqaf, especially in Arabic, you will find that it's a reference to wiggling sand dunes. Even you might find straight sand formations, if you will. There are amazing formation in the sand. If you travel, if you fly over the southeastern part of the Arabian Peninsula, and an area called the Al-Rub al-Khali in Arabic, the kind of deserted, empty quarter in the practically on the borders between the empty quarters between Yemen and Saudi Arabia. It does include certain parts. In fact, by the way, satellite images show that there used to be ravines in the streams in that area, and something is changing. So certain area there has what there was a large down, water, rain fall in these areas. And what's amazing is that people made it from that area to Mecca, cutting through the empty quarter. But what is it that I'm trying to say is that people differed about the interpretation of Al-Ahqaf. One of the interpretations that I did not say it's an inspiration, but there was a reference to certain mountains. These are many in the area of Hadramaut, as if someone literally took a sharp object and cut through the tip of the mountain, the peak. So these mountains have literally flat top, straight, as if that's just like a cutting through butter with knife. That's an amazing thing. Maybe because they are sandy, if you will. So that's the area. Their punishment was a week of severe winds. But they did when they saw a cloud at one point, a dense cloud, a ard. When they saw it from this, they thought that simply this is rain, and they felt good about it. But it was a devastating rain. And just think about the hurricanes that are pounding Florida right now. 2 in a row, like within a week. Florida witnessed 2 severe hurricanes, devastating. People got killed. There are other themes about being good to one's parents, to be thankful that with when one reaches the age of 40, what usually we say the age of wisdom, the age of prophethood. Not that it is that prophethood is open to anyone who reaches 40. Of course, now not anymore. Would be thankful and would pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him, of course, guide her to perform good deeds, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise her offspring as good offspring, and that one would repent and then would simply declare his Islam. In fact, we live during times when expression of faith, and not only Muslims. There's a particular targeting of Muslims, which is very unfortunate. Muslims contribute to the welfare of their societies. For example, in the West, I can tell you for a fact that Muslims in the United States, Muslim physicians, there are about 100 free clinics, soup kitchens for the poor. They contribute they donate to the public good, the Muslims, very large amounts of money, close to $2 billion. But Islamophobia, and there's we don't talk about ignorant people, we talk about institutions. Their job, their role, their task is to keep to create animosity, to create a wedge between Muslims and their larger society, at any rate. So inshallah, suffice it for this reading, and in the next one we will read from Surah Al-Fath, one verse only that Imam Al-Ghazali selected. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.